All right, now we're going to talk about the gas lines a little bit. So here's one, and it's going up over to the manifold over here. Sorry about that. So the line on the left coming in, this one over here coming in, that's 3/4 of an inch. That's coming from your gas meter. It's corrugated stainless steel with the yellow jacket, so you can bend it, like sort of flexible. Or CSS or CSSS. I don't know what the other S is for, but what they used to use, like in my old house, they used steel pipe. You can see little pieces of steel pipe over here, like the T, right, and the one between that little short nub. I would call that a nipple. Between the shut off and the T, that would be steel pipe. They actually used to use, like I think maybe in the 40s or 50s, they had galvanized steel pipes, and they used that for water, and they would rust, like from the inside. They would just close up, especially if they're going vertical, like the rises. Yeah, for some reason, I guess the water sits in there and it just gets corroded. So, thank God for the copper lines and the PVC, huh? Okay, so the feed that's coming in from the meter is 3/4 of an inch. It's tied to the manifold. And then you got 4 going out. You got 1 to the heater. I just labeled those recently. I don't know if it really matters, but there's a hot water heater, living room, fireplace, and stovetop, and I believe that's the way the house came. And I'm thinking that the extension was added by the original owner, who I bought the house from, like 9.5-ish years ago. So that goes out to the deck. This one comes out to the deck for a natural gas grill, and then that one going up and over to the back of the garage. Basement to the left goes to the laundry room, and there's a gas hookup for a dryer. And then that small one looks like 1/4 inch, but I think it's 3/8 of an inch. Flexible copper. That's going down to the corner of the family room to a ventless fireplace, which that was definitely added later. Now, normally you should have 2. First of all, consult your local plumber who's certified and licensed to do gas. Don't listen to me. But in my opinion, you should have 2 shutoffs for every appliance. So there's generally a shutoff at the device itself, right? Like, so if you go to the larger room, you'll see the other end, or coming up out of the floor, there's a shutoff. And I'm going to do a separate video on shutoffs. I'm going to also include water, and I'm going to place that in its own video, and hopefully it'll be easier to find for, not for like emergency, but it'll just be good to know. What do we got? Okay, yeah. So what I would have preferred having a shut off to that feed coming in before the manifold, right there, right? So it could have been tied into maybe like a nipple with the shut off, kind of like a similar setup to over here. Because in order to shut off these 4 appliances, you have to shut off the shut off is at the gas main, and it's not that well, I guess it's straightforward, but it's not that easy to turn on and off. But you should just know that if you smell gas and you're not sure where it's coming from, just go to your main, and well, I'll show you another video on that. What else do we got? Okay, so this must have been added later, and you can see shutoffs. So that red thing there, I'll just show you real quick. Stand on my little 5-gallon bucket, and hopefully I don't. Okay, so these shut off pretty easily, right? Which way is it going to go? That way. Bink, bink, right? So these are like ball valves. So there's like a ball. There's a hole in each side, right? And it's like a tube going through. It's not literally a tube, but they just drilled through each side. So when you're seeing any type of valve, these ball valves that go parallel to your pipe, you're open. And then when you go perpendicular, you're closed. That's a little more than perpendicular, but maybe not, whatever. That's what I set up for my mother when she got her, well, my arm is killing me. When she moved into a townhouse, I replaced the plumbing shutoffs from those gate valves, the old-fashioned, you turn. Okay, so here's a story to tell you. So there's ventilation for gas heaters and hot water heaters and stuff like that. So this is a line coming in over here. And it's going out to the side of the house. Out the side of the house. And it gets reduced before it exits the house. Probably because like the more bends there are, more 90s, and there's like a bunch of little runs, but a bunch of 90s. Then they'll use like a wider pipe, PVC line. But when it exits the house, because it's a straight run, it doesn't need to be that wide. But they probably made it wider before, and see how they reduce it when it gets to the unit. So this is the coming in. This is air coming in, exhaust exiting. In older homes, they would just put this into like a chimney. Like if there was a chimney here, they would just, like at my house, it had a chimney, and the furnace and the hot water heater just went into the chimney. It didn't go out of the side of the house or anything, but it's actually cost less to just take it out of the side of the house and build a chimney. Okay, so what happened is this wasn't turning on, actually not this unit, but the previous one. There was a safety, so you would hear it kick on. It would turn on and then shut off. Turn on and shut off. The gas, like it wasn't igniting the gas, but you could hear the motor getting ready to fire up. And what happens is that they're designed to have a safety feature if there's an issue with air. It won't kick on. And the technician came and he I don't know what he did. He probably stuck something up here, but he found that it was clogged here, and he didn't have actually this coupling. But I said, cut it and let's see what's in there. I'll go to the hardware store and get one. And the local, at the corner, they have that hardware store. So when he cut it open, a bee's nest fell out. Pink, fell right out. And that, it wasn't live, but it was, and it was probably in there for a while, but it was enough to choke the air enough that this was shutting down. And he actually said, I didn't expect to see a bee's nest. I usually find squirrels in there. It's like, yeah, whatever. So that's what this is for. That's what this is for. And then this exits the house. So and this was drilled into to test. I think maybe when they installed my new unit, they were testing, I don't know if it was CO2 or what they were testing, but they probably put a probe in there. These are the lines that so the heating unit is from here down, right? And then they put the air conditioning unit up top, the condenser, this is where it condenses everything, the water or whatever the hell it does. So these pipes coming out here are going outside. This is from that pump, from the condensation pump, right? And yeah, so they run outside to the near the outdoor unit. Okay. This is these are lines coming out of for the gas heat. This is what's going in. This is why we didn't have squirrels. I didn't have any squirrels. I had bees, a bee's nest. And this is what's coming out. So in my previous house, and there's a dryer vent, which I really need to get cleaned out for a potential fire hazard, theoretically, fire hazard from all the lint over the course of the past 20 years. Yeah, so in my previous home, I think it was January 2015 or 2016. I think it was 2015. we got like 34 inches of snow. It was forecast for 30. We ended up with 34 where I was at. And my gas was doing the same thing that I was telling you when it was restricted airflow. You could hear it starting up and shutting down, starting up and shutting down. So at that point I sort of knew what was going on. And I got a snow shovel and went to the side of the house, and my intake, actually the exhaust too, it was like, because the wind blew, it was like a snow drift right to the side of the house. These were both covered up. So I dug them out. Actually, I went to my neighbor's house because I didn't think she was gonna know what was going on, and I just rang her bell and I told her, and I was like, yeah, this is what's going on. I'm clearing out in front of your HVAC stuff, whether it needs it or not. And so that's something else that you gotta watch out when you're getting massive amounts of snow. And then that's the exhaust for the hot water heater. See, it's like a 4-inch line, 3 or 4. I think it's a 3-inch. Okay, so we're at the fireplace in the living room. This was installed by the developer. Let me see if I get my light set up here. I'm gonna have to hold this camera. I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but okay. So let's see. My neighbors, they have theirs in their same one in the family room. Mine's in the living room. The controls are down here. So you can see, here's the shut off. That's the first thing I want to show you. So you can see it's perpendicular, so it's off. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's the wind from the top of the flue. These are the controls. I don't know much about this stuff. I'm not going to pretend to, but I'm just going to show you what I guess I could, but what I think I know, which is probably wrong. The red button over there on the right, that's your igniter to ignite to turn on your pilot. And maybe I'll show you how to do that. You probably already know, but let's try anyway. So this, let me see, that black, this thing here, right here, that's what you need to turn on. That's what you use to turn on and off for the pilot. Actually, I couldn't get it off to turn off, but whatever. So it says off at the top, on at the bottom, and then in the center it says pilot. They actually serve different purposes, pilot and on. So when you want to turn it on, you want to initially turn on your pilot. I rotate it all the way over, and what happens with the pilot setting, it allows you to push in that button, which will feed it more fuel. And then once you light it, you hold that button for like 30 seconds. Maybe less, maybe more. 30 seconds should do it. And then the pilot should stay on. There's some sort of thermocoupler or something or other. Like a safety thing. But, wait. See, I don't like how this is. Wait a second, let me show you. This is just floating in the breeze. Right? I wish that I would prefer this was like mounted somehow. Both this right here mounted. All right, so that's tied in good, but this is not. So what we would do first, we would turn on the fuel, then turn this over to the pilot setting. You see, it's not moving. Let's see if I can show you. This is where it pushes in. Hang on. This pushes in. And I'm putting my finger in the back so I'm not pushing the whole thing. I don't like the way that's moving around. So it pushes in. So if I was to turn it like to the on position, that won't push in. It's stiffer. All right, so now it's in pilot position. Let me try to get back some sort of sanity over here. Okay. We're going to fire up. I'm going to hold this down. I can't show you everything at once, but I'm going to hold that down. And I can show you at least that part. Will that go there? Looks like it does. Okay. And then I'm just going to hit the button, the red button, a few times.
Okay, so that's in. We got the fuel on. All right, it clicked. It worked the first time, which it usually doesn't, but see the flame over there? And it's blue. And when you see yellow, means it's dirty, like your orifices are dirty. Orifices. Okay, so I'm still holding that dial down. 15-20 seconds should be enough. I'm letting it go, and then the pilot stays lit. So the blue flame means you're clean. It's a clean burning flame. If it's yellow, orange, when you see those specks of yellow, that's like dust or dirt. And gas or propane, they have like these orifices. They're anyway, you can vacuum them out, but I would contact it's just somebody who's familiar with it to clean out your stuff. If it's like when you fire up. Actually, let me see if I can turn this thing on. I never turned it on before. Ugh! I don't have a remote for it, but I have a switch. Nothing. All right, well, we'll see. Deal with that later. Yeah, I've been here 6 years. I use the one in the back. So you got a clean burning flame there, and these things here. Let's make sure it's not hot. This stuff is just for added. Like it's like. I think it kind of looks like wool, but it adds a glow to your flame, so it's just there for show. And then you have the gravel. These serve different purposes. We have the fake logs. Actually, one of them is screwed down. They're usually not. Where's it at? Right there is the screw. They're usually not screwed in. There's usually like a male-female type of thing to hold it in place. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but so the some of this stuff, like it could protect the burner, it creates a more realistic appearance. This stuff will add some glow once the flame is going, and I couldn't get it going. I'm not sure what's going on because I don't know what's going on. I think the stone, the little crust stone, is just to help radiate heat, and all that stuff that's here. It just reduces the visibility of the burner. Like, you don't want to just see burners burning. This stuff works great when I run my electric. Is out in the winter. If it's an extended period of time, I turn on my ventless fireplace in the family room and I camp out there. But I think I've only lost heat for more than like 5 hours once or twice. One time for 23 hours. And I'm signed up with Pico, with the Pico app, so I get notifications that aren't always accurate, but I get a text saying that a push notification saying your power's out, which I usually know by the time it's out. But it's good to know if I'm remote. And but what was nice was one time it went out, and I went and stayed over a friend's house at night because the ETA was like a day or two, they said. I forgot what they said. And the next morning, I think they said 23 hours. And so I just went and crashed out somewhere else. And then the notification came back that power was restored. And it was much less than 23 hours for that time. Okay, so I'm going to lift up this access panel and shut everything down, right? So now this is where I'm confused because I can't figure out how to shut the pilot off of this. It should be that way, and it's not. No, this way, and it's not. But what I do is I just cut the fuel. So I really should get the manual for this, and the document. I can find the documentation probably with this information here. I have a model number and all, and there's a box over there, and who knows, maybe the remote is actually in that box. The previous owner left me good documentation for this place, so maybe that's in there and they just never used it and they left it there. All right, so the switch that I was trying to operate the fireplace with was right here. So you probably have one of these if you had your gas fireplace installed by the developer. Off, it's down. Setting it to the remote, which I don't have, is in the center, and on. So I flicked it on and it wasn't firing up. So I think there might be an issue between this switch and the unit itself. Remote on, they're really close. You can pretty much just go bink right to on, but like that. Oh, in that box there was no remote, but I got an image of the model number. Maybe I'll contact the vendor and see if they're still around. Try to get the remote. So probably what I have to do, and I think I'll just hire somebody because I don't really like messing with flames, is the connectivity between this switch and down in here, down in there is probably an issue. Like if I was to put an electrical tester on what is supposed to get hot, like have electricity, once that switch is on, there's probably no signal getting to it. So, but I'm not gonna mess with it. I'll hire a licensed professional.